Hello and welcome to tutorial number 12 on the feeling, which is on this, the other squishy lead, which plays in the sort of breakdown, I guess. Anyway, let's get on with it. So, new pattern, go away, new hammer, and let's make it. So first things first, square wave, octave down. Then a little bit of pluck and mess with the pluck shape. So that's basically like 3/4 of the sound done already. So I pretty much just did something like this. What exactly I did doesn't really matter, I guess. It's just randomly clicking buttons, I suppose. So let's find the original. So the original had this, which is pretty much the same difference. Anyway, I've explained 5 quadrillion times what this pluck shape window does, so if you don't know, sorry for leaving you out, but Google it. Anyway, next thing was just unison with 2 voices, no pan, because it's a bass, and I don't want like super wide bass. That's I guess that's the lead's job. Turn the pitch up about as high as you feel like you can get away with, and phase all the way up to full blur. That's a bit more interesting. And then basically I just added a bit of phaser. So all I really wanted to do with the phaser was to just try and colour the sound and just mess with the timbre to get something a bit more interesting than just a square wave, I suppose. So all I really did was mess with the settings pretty much randomly. So I turned speed down to 0. So it just basically pretty much just acts like a filter really. And then just mess with all the other settings. Eventually, after trying out all these, I settled on box as my favourite, and messed with all these and set it to the harmonic mode. And after a long while of messing with all the settings, I kind of settled on something a bit like, kind of like this, I think. Now finally what I did was reset keyboard tracking. Essentially all this does is makes the phaser follow the note you're playing up and down so that the phaser stays in the same place relative to the note rather than absolutely, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't change, I keep saying timbre, I like that word. It doesn't change timbre as you change the note, right? So that basically does it for the phaser. Didn't change the filters at all, and just had a filter frequency envelope by right-clicking, right-click the point, type in value, 0.5. Now it's perfectly in the middle. A nice trick in FL Studio is you can hold shift to keep a point where it is horizontally when you're dragging it. And this also works for automation clips in the playlist actually, so if I just find some random poor automation clip, hold shift, stays in the same place. Make sure you let go of the mouse before shift though, otherwise this happens. Oh dear. But anyway, drag this all the way to the bottom. Got plenty of tension, so I've got something like this. Right, we're getting there. Then, a volume envelope. Attack to 0, release to 0, sustain to 0, short decay. If you didn't suss this out already, this is a very simple sound. That's become something of a catchphrase. Now the original sound, for some incredibly pointless reason, had a small amount of vibrato, and if you look, there's a pitch LFO as well. What was the point in this? What the hell was I thinking having this LFO? It doesn't do anything, you can't even hear it, doesn't make any difference. Doesn't do anything, and also the vibrato is barely audible as well. So whatever, I guess just for the sake of it I could turn the vibrato up a bit, but really you can barely hear it. As for the Harmer's effects, just a bit of sin crush distortion, amount all the way up, little bit of asymmetry. So all this was just because I was just trying random stuff, trying to make the sound more interesting, I suppose. Next was bit of burning compression, full amount, bit of mid. I think there was also a tiny bit of high as well. I'd like to see in the original. You can't even see the vibrato, can you? So what? What's the point? So I guess I'll just turn that off. And that does it for Hammer itself. But in the effects, all I had was... Well, actually, I guess I'll go to the original because there really is not much. All there is a fruity send. Now, the only reason I use the fruity send is not because I'm sending it anywhere, but just because I'm automating the volume. So I actually really the volume. So I would really have been better off using fruity balance and just automating this, But whatever, same difference. So all I used that for was this volume automation clip in the build up here, just to make it fade out.
Now you're going to hear some music that is just the...
What the hell is that horrendous sound? I must have deleted a automation clip somewhere, but never mind. Oh, I think I added a note inside this pattern somewhere by mistake. Whoops. But you get the idea. Anyway, so that's all that is. As for the rest, Maximus, all I did was turn up the high tension a tiny bit, turn the low right down. That was it. I'm on the wrong thing. Hang on a minute. Where are we at? Right. So yeah, all I did was turn the low off, high up a bit. And then a fruity convolver, which, as I've discussed before, is just because I just find it more interesting than the default reverb. I left everything at the default settings, but just turned the delay up a bit and turned the stretch all the way down. So stretch basically just stretches it in time, longer or shorter. And I can't remember exactly how it does it, but I think it just resamples it. So stretch is kind of a hacky way of changing the decay time with a convolver. So it's kind of like a reverb decay time, I guess. It makes it longer or shorter, right? But it also affects the pitch and hence the timbre of the sound, so... But whatever, I settled on the lowest stretch. Bit of delay, just for like... wideness, I guess. Sounds pretty cool. And that is the whole entire sound in its entirety, apart from the fact that this sound, like all the others, except for the basses, is routed to subcut, so there's no sub. Not that it makes much of a difference to this sound. So that was the entire synth. Hope that was useful. See you in the next video.